Oh, landmines and jellyfish. Welcome back to Knives, I guess. And as the temperatures have been dropping here, it's been pushing more and more barking spiders into the house. It's getting real bad. They're getting really aggressive, and one of them won't quit staring at me. I may need one of you guys to help me out here. I'm not sure what to do. But while I'm trying to survive those guys, I figured don't have really much going on, so we're going to take a look at some of my favorite practical EDC knives. And these are the ones that, they're the most comfortable, they're the most useful, they're the ones that treat me the best, and they have the fewest problems as far as EDC use. And you guys have kind of seen some of these before, but for the newer guys that are here, some of the stuff that I personally like to carry for practical purposes. A lot of you know I love hideously and practically huge knives that they're fun to carry, but they take some work. These take the least amount of effort to carry and do the best job for it. But I think we're going to start off with something that a lot of us really like, and that is the Boker Kalashnikov. This is one that carries really comfortably. The pocket clip is tip up, which is the Lord's carry. It's a nice deep carry. And I carry tucked in the waistband, and this has been really comfortable. It's not really something that rubs. It's not something that gives me a lot of trouble. It carries nicely, and of course, let's flick the button. You've got an automatic blade here. I absolutely love this thing. And, a lot of you have heard the story of what got me into automatic knives. And, when that all went down, it took me forever to find another automatic knife that I could afford. And that was this right here, the Kalashnikov. And one thing I like about this that a lot of people probably don't like is this, these scales, this body is painted aluminum. And as you carry it and use it, it pretty easily picks up battle damage. And this is one of those things where the more worn in and beat up it looks, the cooler it looks, in my humble opinion. And this thing has definitely been put to work a little bit. It's been carried quite a bit. I've gotten a lot of joy out of this thing. And they are renowned for being insanely tough. I'm sure a lot of y'all have heard the story, but one of the guys at Blade HQ, he was laying sod and lost his under the sod and found it 2 years later and dug it back out, rinsed it out with a hose, and it's still going strong to this day. Like, these things will take a ton of abuse. You got an AUS 8 blade, which is something that I need to go back and take a look at. I saw a video and I shared that as a community post, but the guy goes into a lot of charts on what these steels actually are, and it's amazing how much AUS 8, 8CR13, all that is really close to 440C or 420C. Those series of steels just manufactured slightly different, but they're directly comparable. I think AUS 8, no, not AUS 8, 8CR13 was just a different company's 440C. It was wild. I learned a lot from that, and I need to go save those charts and go back and do some more research and come back with that, because that was really interesting. But I love carrying this thing, I love using it, and I love a good automatic knife. Fantastic little piece. Tell you what, the next thing we're going to take a look at is the Oden T25. And again, you guys have seen it, but this is one of my favorite little guys. I love carrying this thing, partly because it's very compact. It's on the exact opposite end of my love for just hideously huge pocket swords. But this thing tucked in the waistband, it's incredibly comfortable. The blade on it's really good. Let's flick the beam. It's a nice small blade. I think you're looking at just shy of 3 inches right here. You've got a frame lock. Pocket clip is tip up, which is the Lord's carry. And I gave it the Finding Nemo bead. I really like this one, and it really needed to have a bead. I did take this apart and flame treat the titanium, and of course these colors don't really like showing up on camera. Like, you can see some of it there. And, this is one, it's $27 for titanium. And the blade, it's D2. And this thing, the geometry on it's fantastic. You've got a really high flat grind up until right here where the grind stops, basically. And it's some thin blade stock, so it slices like crazy. This thing treats me so good when I carry it, and it's incredibly comfortable. There's no rubbing, no hot spotting, no nothing. And part of the reason the bead's on here is so I can find it in my waistband when I need to use it. This thing I can't recommend highly enough. I will drop an Amazon link in here because I keep getting asked about it for valid reasons. But this thing, for the price, you really can't beat it. I absolutely love this thing. The next one we're going to take a look at is an obvious one, and of course that's the Benchmade Bugout. And this was my first aspirational knife. It's the first one that I spent over $100 on, and that sticker shock really got me. I wanted an axis lock, and I wanted a good axis lock. And, you know, again, that first automatic knife I had got me hooked on Benchmade. So when I saw this really take off, I really knew I had to have it. But let's crack her open. This is a S30V blade. Words are hard. It's been a long day. And this is also my first super steel. And, you know, this is kind of entry-level super steel now. It's still fantastic. You know, don't get me wrong. And the quality of the steel and the durability kind of blows everything on this table out of the water. These things can take an amazing amount of punishment. And this one is a CF Elite. This is, I think, carbon fiber right here. So you get a little bit of flex right here, but not much. You really have to force it. And even still, these things are really tough. And they're also very lightweight. I think I've had a couple of farts that weigh more than this. And again, let's close this thing up. Yeah. But you got a really thin, flat profile right here. The pocket clip is tip up, and it's nice and deep. Lord's carry, yada, yada, yada. And this is another one where tucked in the waistband, I don't feel it. I have to dig around to find it. And this is where the Oden is one of the few knives that really matches this thing for just comfort of carry. And of course, the cutting properties on this are also really, really good. It slices like crazy. And this was a too nice to carry knife until a friend of mine got me the hopped up version of this thing. So I do carry this every so often, and I'm probably going to be carrying it a lot more once Temugeddon's over. Speaking of which, keep an eye out at the end of the week. Our next episode of Temugeddon's coming up. And if you saw the preview for this week's knife, you know what it is. But this is kind of like the king of practicality. Like, this is the gold standard for everything. Comfort, practical use, all the things. I am absolutely in love with this, and I know some people don't like Benchmade, and some people are absolute fanboys. I'm just a fan of this particular knife. The old automatic that I had was, I believe, a 9000, and the price tag on that's keeping me away from it, even though I really want another one so bad. But, you know, this is the Bugout, and most of y'all know what this is. And if you haven't handled one, you should at least find someone that has one and let you play with it for a few minutes. If you're used to cheap knives, this is kind of a game changer right here. This will really give you a taste for nicer things. Next up, we're going to go with the SOG Flash At. And this one is an interesting beast. This is kind of like a bigger version of a Bugout as far as like my comfort of carry, quality of life with it, usage, all that. And, you know, you got your pocket clip. It is a nice, deep, deep carry. It is tip up, which is the Lord's carry. And, you got, let's flick the stud. You got a very strong assisted opener on it, which I'm not the happiest in the world with, but it doesn't kill me. The only caveat to that is you got an axis lock and an assisted opener, which you got to practice a little bit to get used to closing it one-handed, but once you got the hang of it, you know, it's not that bad. And this thing, it carried very, very well. It was pretty much as comfortable as the Bugout and the Oden, mostly because it's not as flat, but it's very well rounded. Everything is really set up nicely for ergonomics, and carry comfort is kind of a bonus side effect of that. And, you know, you got a nice long blade right here. It's a nice, good flat grind. It cut really, really well. It's Cryo D2. And, you know, I happened to catch this when it was on sale and got a nice, nice break on the price. I think I got $40 off. Speaking of which, this one came from Midway USA. And if you are looking for deals, go check out Midway USA and look at their sales. They always have a bunch of stuff on sale and a bunch of really steep discounts, so you keep coming back every so often and you'll find some really cool stuff for a lot cheaper. And trust me, this is not sponsored or anything else. It's just those guys have some great sales. So, you know, this thing is a bigger version of the Bugout. Basically, it's heavier. It's significantly heavier. You know, the Bugout's weight is kind of hard to match in a lot of respects. This is a pretty close match to the weight on the Bugout. This might be a little bit lighter. And of course, the Bugout, I think it's like 1.8 ounces, something like that. I don't have a scaler. I'd check that out. But this thing, it carries well, it works well, it cuts well. I really like this thing. It's just the assisted open on an axis lock was frustrating at first. This thing also has a safety, which if you go back, there's the unboxing time on this where I wasn't aware that this was a safety and I couldn't figure out whether it was an automatic. I've seen knives where you pull the axis lock back and it pops open, so I thought it might have been that, but it's funny. I looked real dumb for a second there. But that's the SOG Flash AT. The next one is the Monaca Assault Team 1. You guys have seen that pretty recently, and this is another one I flame treated the titanium on and got some nice purples out of it. I need to clean it. One thing about this flame treated titanium is the more you handle it, the more the oil from your skin gets on it and mutes out the color, and then you gotta take some Windex or something and clean it up, and then the color comes back. It's the weirdest thing. But this is another, I think it's like sub 30 titanium knife. And this thing is lightweight for something as beefy as this is. And of course, let's get it out of the way. Tip up pocket clip, the Lord's carry. And the way this pocket clip is shaped right here, this really gets into and out of the waistband and into and out of the pocket really nicely. This thing really, really guides everything in. This is one of the better budget pocket clips that I have. I really, really like this pocket clip, and I love the way these pocket clips are set up. Short of a wire clip, this has got to be my favorite. But let's flick the beam. You got a nice lengthy blade, a little over 3 inches or right at 3 inches, something like that. 14C 28-inch steel, and the geometry on this is fantastic. You can see where it's got a compound grind right here, and this is one where I carried it at work. I've carried it a bunch because I really like this thing, and I had to make some really sketchy cuts on some funky shaped cardboard to create one box where there were two. And I was able to handle that and cut it and not feel like I was going to blast through it and cut myself or have any other accidents. It was very, very tightly controlled, making a lot of weird small cuts. That speaks volumes. I had to cut apart a display, and it blasted through it like I was cutting, copy paper. Such good geometry on this one, and it carries very well. It's very comfortable, no digging in, no rubbing, nothing like that. It treats me very, very well when I carry it. And this is one of the ones that I have had to stop myself from reaching for when I've been carrying other knives for review. Kind of this whole table, especially this, and this, are the ones that I want to reach for the most frequently. And, I'm carrying so much other stuff that it's like, maybe later, little buddy. I love you, but maybe a little bit later. I love you too. I love you too. I love you all the same, just differently. And, it is what it is, and I'm going back to carrying these as soon as Temugeddon's over and I get through the ones that are in the backlog, just because these are the ones that I really like carrying the most when I'm not carrying for comedic value or to entertain myself with a pocket sword. The last one we're going to take a look at is the DVO Knives Growler V2, and this thing, you've seen me talk about it a bunch. This is as comfortable as anything else on the table. It's really hard to beat. I mean, you can see how flat this thing is. And everything is nicely and gently radiused over so that it's a very clean, flat fit. This pocket clip is the only wire pocket clip that I have, but it's quite possibly my favorite pocket clip that I own. There's no flipper tab or anything like that, so let's flick the hole. That flick is very satisfying. The edge is quite sharp. The geometry is quite good. It's a very high, flat grind up into the flat on the top, and then you got the swedge right here. And this one is D2 steel because it's a prototype. And just the fact that it's a prototype makes it about 10 times cooler than a production run. And that's just me. I love prototypes. I love things that are kind of offbeat like that. And, this prototype is exactly what you get in the production version, but it's D2 instead of, I think, 14C 28N. I think that's the steel. I would link this off, but those things have been out of stock forever. I think it was a small run. I got really lucky that I got this because I didn't have the money to buy a production knife when they came out, which still hurts, but it's okay. I'll live. But if you wanna look it up, look up White Mountain Knives DVO Growler V2. Maybe they have one in stock, but the last few times I've looked, they didn't. So this very quickly became one of my favorites, and I love carrying this every single chance I get that, when I'm not doing something else. All these are very comfortable, very good, very useful carries. And honestly, the top of the heap, this, and this are probably the most comfortable practical knives that I own by a decent margin. Like, these are all fantastic, don't get me wrong, but these guys right here are the best of the best that I own personally. So I just kind of wanted to show you guys what I look for with practicality in mind, not silliness, not, pocket swords. I love pocket swords to death. You guys know this about me. but things that are practical, comfortable, easy to use, easy to carry, serves me very, very well. You know, this is kind of the stuff I'm looking for. And, you know, my favorite blade my favorite blade style is a drop point. Like, I love a good drop point. It does everything I need it to. I don't have to be worried too much about anything going wrong with it. You know, like there are a lot of blade shapes where, like pocket cleavers, I love those, but you don't have a tip to work with. Some of the other ones I have that are really aggressive, it's just a straight shot from the spine down to the tip, which is cool, and it's great for really fine, small cuts, but, you know, I don't have a tip that I can go in on something with the way I would with one of these. You know, Warncliffs, those are good. Sheep's foot, same problem, just straight drop to the point. You know, there's no real tip to cut with there, or no tip for piercing or doing a lot of other stuff that I like doing with these. So the drop point is my favorite carry, and then you got stuff like this right here. Isn't quite a drop point, but the cutting geometry on it's so good and it carries so well that it does make up for that lack of a drop. And then this right here, it's kind of drop tip-ish, you know, it does come down to the center. So, you know, this is what I look for in practicality and ease of use, and I just wanted to share those with you. You know, I didn't really have anything else lined up for right now. I'm still waiting on some new stuff to come in, but I wanted to give you guys something to watch. So, all that being said, thanks for looking at my crap. Subscribers, you guys keep showing up. I am so grateful, and it's so humbling. Comments, I love some feedback. Let me have it. All that being said, y'all have a nice day.